run this mother, girl.
Hi, my name is Saquandra Heath. I am a junior.
I'm Sky Howard. I'm a sophomore and a public relations major.
Maya Stripley. I'm a sophomore and a communications and rhetorical studies major.
I'm Uche Chikuma. I'm a sophomore and I'm a psychology major.
Hi, my name is Kaija Rocket. I'm a senior nutrition major.
My name is Kayla Calix. I'm a sophomore, double major in mathematics and information and technology.
My name is Erica Hall. I'm a senior and I'm a CRS major.
The first question is, what is your first impression of a black woman's body shape?
My first impression of a black woman's body shape, I automatically think of the Coke bottle. We're known to be very curvy, have a full, nice figure. I mean, obviously not all black women do, but the majority do, and that's kind of like praised in the black community.
I think a black woman's body shape is like an amazing body shape. It's very curvaceous, nice upper area, lower area, and it's very desirable.
I completely agree with that. I think African American woman's body is best described as an hourglass, where Coke bottle, we have a lot of curves. Other races don't.
Usually curvy, but it depends on the individual, I think.
I don't think there's a standard body shape for a black woman, but I do feel like when I see a curvy black woman, I feel like that's like A1.
I agree with Kaija. How would you compare a white woman's body to a black woman's?
I would compare a white woman's body to being very like stick figure-ish. Traditionally, I mean, the first comparison is always like, people say that white women don't really have like butts and like breasts and stuff like that, whereas black women do. Going back to that whole full figure aspect, so I would automatically think of that contrast. When I think of a white woman, I don't automatically think, ooh, curves. That's more of like a rare occasion if you see a white girl with curves and butt. It's like, oh, she got, you know.
White women typically have like less curves than black women. They're more flat. And,
They have boobs.
Yeah, some do.
I think white women, they just have less of what we have.
Yeah. Some of them do, and when you see, like, for example, if you see like a white girl with a voluptuous butt, you point it out because it's rare.
I don't think white women have hips like that, to be honest. I just see, I mean, there's the exceptions though, because I'm from North Carolina, so I would always see like curvier women, but in general, straight and narrow. But there's some black women too who their body aren't proportional, so.
In fact, I would agree with Kaija a little. I don't think I don't think that every body in the same race has the same body type. But like she said, there's the exceptions. But for the most part, I think the same that white women are usually a little slender and less shapely for the most part.
I don't think there's a standard body, but I feel like what we expect is what, back to like what Kaija said and Erica, like when you see a white woman, you expect it to be slender. When you see like a woman of color, a black woman, you expect like curves and her being thick. But I don't think that's an actual like standard type of body.
I agree with that. And then like when they don't fit our expectations, we're like, and me personally, I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
Nah, I'd be like, dude, you seen that white girl with that fat ass?
or it could be the opposite end, someone when they're slim and they're like, I don't know, or like a black woman, her body is just not proportioned right. But you could tell like if she was taking better care of herself, she would be right.
How do you think, or what do you think of Serena Williams' body structure compared in the media?
I've seen them praising her for having, this really like nice toned body. This is an athlete. But then also, I've seen people like making comments in terms of that she's too manly, because she's more than just full figured. She's toned. She's built. She's muscular.
It's masculine.
Very masculine. She's always in like a sports. She never does like. She's not a Victoria's Secret model. If she's doing like a shoot where she's not wearing a lot of clothes, it's like in a sports magazine. Like, her body is very muscular.
I also think it's portrayed negatively, though. Like, people have a lot of negative connotations when it comes to her body because of the fact that she is a curvy black woman as well as being muscular on top of it. It just emphasizes the fact of who she is. I also think sometimes she's over-sexualized because of how big her features are.
It was a lot of like judgment on her looking manly or her body being the actual embodiment of a black woman's body. But I feel like she's taking care of herself, and if that's the end result, then that's just it.
I think I've seen mostly positive reception of her body type. I don't know. I haven't really seen any negative.
I see people judging her overall, and maybe not so much her body, because people say she has a nice body, you know, her butt is nice, you know, her figure is nice. But when they might look at her face or her eyebrows or something, they might say it's like ungroomed or unkept. So I just think they have these really high expectations all over the board.
Not only possess above average athletic ability, they must do so while embodying antiquated and psychologically dangerous notions of beauty and gender. Here's an idea. How about we treat, pay, and write about female athletes the way we do male athletes? With respect.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more. When I saw this break over the weekend, it blew my mind. That they were actually, you know, criticizing Serena for being great at what she does by saying she doesn't look feminine enough. I'm sorry, she's a professional athlete, and she's kicking butt at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how she looks, and quite frankly, she looks pretty feminine to me. Like, I don't know where they're coming up with this. It's insane.
Right. Well, I think the really upsetting thing for a lot of people is that, especially with tennis, there's always been this idea of, you know, you have to look, once it became that you figured out you could sell female tennis players, and we got, you know, the Maria Sharapovas and Anna Kournikovas, and you had people who were really, really good athletes, but their value, at least from a monetary standpoint in their career, was endorsement deals. They were models. It's because they looked like models, because they seemed to be this perfect embodiment of this kind of tennis ideal, which is not Serena Williams.
Apparently, I would say that Serena is the tennis ideal, given the amount of like trophies that she's won, given the amount of money she's won playing tennis. I mean, I can't even say how that's not the ideal.
And it is. It's what's really upsetting. There's quite a bit of research, I think, that's been done into it, and you know, when I say it's psychologically damaging, because it is. What happens is you have, you know, girls at home seeing this and seeing this criticism, and every tennis player that was interviewed for the piece that was going through and saying, like, well, I'm a girl and I want to look like a girl, and I'm not supposed to be big and muscular because then I'll lose money on endorsement deals. And I think it's really upsetting, this idea, because this is Serena Williams on the cover of Vogue.
Right.
She's hardly.
I'm curious, like, what has been Serena's response to all this? Has she spoken out?
She's been really awesome. What she said was, quote, I realized that you really have to learn to accept who you are and love who you are. I'm really happy with my body type, and I'm really proud of it. Which is good, because there's nothing wrong with it. I don't understand this sort of twisted logic, but I think a lot of it comes from, I think a lot of it does come from her race, which people don't ever, they always want to make excuses, but when she came onto the scene, there was a lot, she saw a lot of racism. One of her first matches, she had people yelling the N-word at her, and she sort of dealt with this, questioning her you know, abilities from the beginning.
Well, it was a little like when Tiger Woods, you know, broke into the golf scene and kind of like, you know, laid waste to the field because he was so good, and then you suddenly saw this kind of pushback from like the old white Caucasian mentality. You know, it's interesting, the University of Minnesota's Tucker Center for Research on Girls and Women in Sport examined how people of all different ages and genders responded to images of female athletes. They found that people said that the images most likely to convince them to buy tickets to an event were the ones that showed athlete in full performance pose, being an athlete. In other words, looking like an athlete. You know,
not like a model.
Not like a model. They didn't buy tickets because they looked sexy. They bought tickets because them doing what they do best is sexy.
Right.
You know, and was like, I want to see that person play. I want to see that person perform.
And we're seeing that more, and that's it with women's sports, is you're seeing this uptick. When you have 40% of collegiate and inter-school sports are being played by women.
Yes.
So teams, you have the U.S. Open, or I'm sorry, the women's team just won the World Cup. You have this sort of a much different view. You're showing this positive side.
Yes.
Elizabeth Daniels, who's an assistant psychology professor at Oregon State, had found, she had done a bunch of research, and what she found is that pictures of sexualized athletes seem to drum up more negative responses overall than those with, you know, where they look like capable athletes. And it was from both genders.
Wow, that's
so this
incredible.
idea of like sexualizing female athletes in order to sort of perpetuate, it's like, well, we have to show them being sexier, people won't watch. And the truth is, marketing, the business, and the science says the opposite.